It's Wexford New People's Movement Radio. There now follows a public broadcast on behalf of Wexford County Council. Hey, you. Yeah, you. Are you using too much water? Are you watering the flowers a little bit too much? Giving the dog too much water to drink? Taking too many showers? What about your neighbours? If they are, we have a new hotline. You can report them. That's right. You can report your neighbours because that's what we do here. Don't let them use too much water. Don't let them water those dandelions. We don't care about dandelions. And don't be giving me all this guff about data centres and Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos is giving us loads of money. So do the right thing. Stop using water and report your neighbours. That's the Wexford thing to do.
And we can drink money.
You can also
It's
drink water that's from other data centres. See how glowy you get.
We're live. This is the Red Book Show, broadcasting on Wexford New People's Movement Radio from the Bunker Studio in Red Books in sunny Wexford Town. I'm here with that terrible dissonant Steve Unicky and the big man himself, Tino, as he's called by the young people now, the Director General of New People's Movement Radio, Tony Bergen. And it's another Red Book Show. And lots happening, Steve.
We got a really good show tonight.
I hope you didn't take a shower before you came out, Steve.
No, I haven't taken a shower in months.
Good. Probably overkill. So welcome along, listeners. If you're out there and you're not busy reporting your neighbours for using too much water, maybe you could send us in a message. We have a new live chat feature on WNPMR.com. So you just go on there, you can listen to us through there as well, and it's glitch free, and you can leave up a message there. You can even go on with an assumed identity. That's what I do all the time. It's brilliant. You can insult us then and we won't know who it is.
Donald Trump.
We're going to be talking about all sorts of things in the show tonight, including young adult fiction, trout fishing in America, and why Steve hasn't taken a shower since January. But first, book news.
All right,
book news.
Let's get to it, Wally.
So Steve has pulled me up on this already, but for those of you who know about Utah,
Utah,
a state in the United States, has just banned different seasons, a famous short story collection by Stephen King. And you've probably, if you haven't read Different Seasons, you've definitely heard of some of the stories that came out of it, because among them were the stories that inspired major movies Stand By Me and The Shawshank Redemption. And no kids in Utah are going to be reading them because it's been banned from the school libraries because it's considered too scandalous and too sexual.
That's just awful. We keep saying the same thing about censorship. Censorship is wrong.
Pretty bad,
bad,
Steve.
Yeah.
I don't know where it's going to stop really there. It just seems to be getting worse and worse.
It's like a snowball rolling down a hill now, I think.
Really is. Yeah. It really is. Yesterday, Steve, you'll like this. Yesterday was Oxymoron Day.
Oh, fantastic.
What's your favorite oxymoron, Steve?
Don't put me on the spot like that. Yeah. Let's hear from our listeners.
I think we should hear from our listeners. Some examples of oxymorons are pretty ugly, deafening silence, and bittersweet.
Yeah,
they're some of the most famous examples.
Yeah.
But if you want to text us in an oxymoron, particularly if it's got a very localized or Irish slant, you can text us in now on the chat line. That's WNPMR.com, the chat room on there. Or, I think that's the best way to reach us, actually. You can WhatsApp us as well or send us messages on Facebook. But if you send it in, we'll give you half a bucket of rainwater that Tony's after gathered from the shoots, and you might need it because how else are you going to wash yourself with this water ban in place. We released a new book. It's all over the People paper this week, Steve. Muses and Musings by 17-year-old Aoife Byrnes.
An amazing book of poetry. Get out there and take a look at it. It
really is. It's rare for a writer of such young years to be able to inspire listeners and readers with their work. But Aoife Byrnes certainly does that. And when you read about her story, Aoife struggled with dyslexia for years and I mean, she worked so hard to do this, and she holds nothing back. She bears her soul for
Yep.
the reader. She's an inspiration, and like I said, she's only 17, and this is her first book. But she has been reading at our events for, it seems, forever. So she
Yeah.
must have started reading here when she was 14.
Yep. I think so.
Fantastic. I think she's going to go.
She's on her way.
She's going to go far.
Yeah.
And her book, Muses and Musings, is available in Red Books and Red Books Underground. It's also available on the irishbookshop.com. We can post it anywhere in the world. And it's a light book, so it won't cost that much to post it. So get on there and get yourself a copy before she becomes too famous and is worth loads of money. So Steve, do you have any book news?
No, not in particular, Wally.
Okay. Well, we said we were going to talk about young adult,
Yeah.
the YA genre.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with the YA? I know we talked about book talk last week. You said you weren't 100% familiar with the concept. Are you familiar with YA?
I'm kind of old, Wally. I don't know about these young people.
Well, you're not 100% wrong, Steve. YA is a recent invention as a push genre. It's only about 2 decades old, but for centuries we had a concept that there was children's books and there was adult books.
Yeah.
And people in between. Well, you just read whatever you were comfortable with, really.
That's right.
I
think there was always books in between, but they just weren't classified.
Yeah, teens. I mean, if you went back to a 15-year-old in the 1800s, would have been reading Jules Verne and Jane Austen, or whatever they could get their hands on. I'm sure if they were lucky enough to be able to read, or they could have been down working in the coal mines and not given the opportunity.
And I remember in Webster Groves, Missouri, reading books like The Outsiders. I think that later got made into a movie, but that was just the kind of book that would be YA today, but it wasn't labeled as such, And I still think a work like Catcher in the Rye would be considered YA because it talks about a young person's concerns and anxieties and cynicisms,
Yeah.
But what do I know? But I think there's always been books in between adult books and children's books.
Oh, you're definitely right about Catcher in the Rye. I guess the idea is a teenager wasn't really an accepted concept until post World War II. Anyway.
Yeah, that's right.
If you go online trying to figure out what the first YA, like, obviously the publishing houses want you to believe that YA has been there a lot longer than it is, so they keep pointing towards The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton, which was wrote in 1967, and they say this is a YA book. This is the original YA book. Now, one of the reasons that it's recognizable as a young adult fiction is because S.E. Hinton was a teenager.
Yeah, that's right.
Harry Potter was, when it was released in 1997, it was a kid's book. It was marketed as a kid's book, but it was a series. And as those kids grew up, they were reading those books. The books got bigger and they needed a new label. So YA was pushed onto it. And then we had the huge boom of Twilight and the Hunger Games, and the rest is pretty much history. That's where we can't get away from it now. And
well, they found big money in it, like, not only book sales, but movies as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a couple of critiques of YA. One criticism would be that, particularly after the Hunger Games, publishers just said, wow, this is really popular. So they went out of their way to do rehashes of popular science fiction from the 50s to the 80s.
Yeah.
But it seemed somehow less real, less soul, I suppose, and more sterilized.
Yeah.
Publishers were actively searching for the next Hunger Games, and they were telling writers, this is what we want. We want this mixed with something else. And that's become the kind of the go-to for the last 20 years.
It's most exciting when somebody just comes out with something original that no one expects,
Yeah.
And they're ahead of all that pizzazz,
Yeah. In the 2010s, multiple surveys showed that YA buyers weren't actually teenagers at all, but were mostly adults. So is YA actually for teens, or is it for nostalgic adults and maybe overprotective parents?
I must be sort of old-fashioned, but I think a book is for whoever's interested in reading it,
Absolutely.
But I guess this is what they have to do in order to sell books,
We have a message in there from Fionn, and he says, "Where's the old adult fiction at? It's right here. You're listening to it."
We're here on Red Books Radio, Red Book Show. Yeah, okay.
I guess YA has become a style as much as an age recommendation. Today, YA has certain criteria. It must be fast-paced. It must be first-person. It must be emotionally strained and generally a coming-of-age story. That's one of the reasons that Margaret Atwood seems to dislike the label so much. Now, that's with Margaret Atwood disliking it is not saying a whole lot, because she also hated the fact that her some of her books were described as science fiction. She really did not like that back in the 80s.
She didn't want to be classified either.
Particularly The Handmaid's Tale.
That was just something original.
Yeah. Now, I guess YA does encourage younger people to read, particularly at a difficult age, because when you leave primary school, you get into secondary school, you're getting a lot more work to do, a lot more reading work, perhaps. It's very difficult to keep people reading. They can be very voracious readers when they're 12 and then suddenly drop off completely. Particularly with boys, it seems to be an issue.
Yeah.
The critique, again, I would have is that a lot of those boys would, at my generation, they would have found stuff at that stage. Like I can clearly remember finding Jurassic Park, the novel, at that stage, and having such an impact on me. You might find Isaac Asimov, or you might find Stephen King, and then that will no doubt lead you on to something else with references and everything, the way it always does. It has that Wikipedia effect books does. And you'll go to George Orwell or Jane Austen or Philip K. Dick.
Yeah.
And I think you're kind of stopped from doing that if you're herded into a YA crush, so to speak. You just see other YA books.
Yeah,
and
I would prefer to branch out, and I think you would too. You would prefer to have young people branch out, and
I think
the further outside yourself you get, I think the better off you'll be as far as understanding and wisdom and all those things that are just basically intrinsic to being a reader of books.
Absolutely. I think genres might be useful as a guide, but that's where they should remain, just as a slight guide to help you define things that you might be interested in.
Well, I'm not trying to be like dismissive or anything.
No.
Booksellers.
I am.
Booksellers and publishers, they like these classifications because it helps them do their work, But as far as a reader goes, you can probably just live without them, and just pick up books that are interesting to you.
Can you remember what books you were reading as a young teen? What were you reading when you were 13?
Oh, I was reading books like the autobiography of Malcolm X. I think I read that book fairly early.
Right.
I was reading Ray Bradbury. I was reading, oh God, I can't remember who did Fantastic Voyage. Who wrote that book? I can't remember the author right now. But there's the kind of book I was reading, and because I was kind of a geek, I was like reading history books and stuff like that. That maybe regular kids my age weren't reading. I remember I took on Don Quixote, and I liked the stories, novels of Charles Dickens. I was reading some of those, some of the classic works. That just happened to interest me at the time.
Yeah. No, that's great, and it wouldn't have been terrible if you had have ended up in a bookshop and somebody said, "You can't read that, Steve. Here's Twilight instead."
No Twilight, please. Yeah.
Okay, well, thanks for that, Steve. Remember, if you're out there and listening, you can contact us on our live chat. We've gone so modern, Tony. Just contact WNPMR.com. And there's just a live chat feature. Just put your name in and you can text us anything you want. And you have a chance to win half a bucket of rainwater from Tony, if you send us in your favorite oxymoron. So we're going to have a bit of music now from Robbie Furlong. This is Parisian Walkway.